to Artist in Recovery / Darryl P. Morning. Yeah, Weaver, Genesee, Roseman, California on the West Coast. It's 3:24 in the morning. Pretty good Friday of 18th April 2025. I held out trying to talk about Blue Origin and its its unique mission. Well, what people kept thinking about the unique mission for this place is. Don't mind me. Passionate of one thing that I had to talk about, but also I have to. Sorry. I'm also listening for my dog to give me a trip. You know her. If you've been watching my videos, which I don't think you do. She must be obeyed. She whines, I go. Alright, shall we talk about that all-female crew going up in space? Should we dig into their little past here of why it was so important for them? And why was it so damn important for them to pop the cork? Making such a big deal about an all-female crew. Okay, fine. But it's just another pop flight. It doesn't tell me much. And to me, I'm looking and trying to understand why this particular flight was so damn important. You know, they haven't even updated their Wikipedia on this one. All-female crew. And how they're getting backlashed on social media for this one. Because the ladies are Katy Perry and Gayle King. Gayle King been on channel, Gayle King? Channel 2. CBS in the morning. Oh, yes. First commercial flight for Miss Gayle King going up, and she thinks nobody's making a big deal about the damn thing. What about about females going up in space? Do you think it's the first time? Good Lord, are they brain dead? No, no. What's it? There she goes. She's on it. The first all-female crew on a civilian flight going up and back. And that's supposed to be big whoop. Okay. Well, let's see. First female astronaut. Who we got? I think that was a woman. That was a Russian woman. Okay. That's what I thought. 1963. Just when they were doing the Russian space war against us. Women in space. Try this one. Valentina Tereshkova. 1963. She was among the first women astronauts, solo, going into space. 1963. That's got to say something right there. Despite the crap we were going through, trying to do the politics of getting a man on the moon, Russians sneaked a woman in there in their space race, in their cosmonauts, and she went up in space. Vostok 6, I think. But that's all right. She got the first woman in space. That would have been celebrated. You know, that would have been celebrated. Celebrated in Russia, but not us. And then they launched another woman up in there for Salyut 7 in 1982. Svetlana Sovietskaya. 1940, born 1948. Okay. And she was on Soyuz 5 flight and Soyuz 12, 1982 and 1984. Try that one. Where the hell were we? We were trying to play catch up. 1983, we had Sally Ride going up. And then 1984, let's see, 1983 was the shuttle, Flight 7, and then 41, 1984. That was our first woman up in space. And that's still celebrated to this day. Unfortunately, she passed away in 2012. And she's still celebrated as an astronaut. But this one should have been celebrated a hell of a lot more than Miss Gail King, even though it was the first thing for her to go through. It's still a civilian flight for me, and it's like big whoop. She's in an all-woman crew. I prefer the first woman that went up there. Judy Resnick. Hang on. She must be obeyed doing this shit to me. These women should have been celebrated. Resnick was on the flight of Challenger when she went up and then blew up. And that was 86. 1986, January 28th. And yeah, I kept saying the replays on that fateful day. That shocked the world, shocked me too. Try this one. How about a first mother up in space? 1984. Miss Anna Lee Fisher. She was on Flight 51 of the shuttle. How about a first American to fly on the space station? 1996. Shannon Lucid. She was on the space station Mir, Russian space station. She was first Chinese-born woman in space, first woman to make a third, fourth, and fifth space flight. Yeah, I'm going through the information on Wikipedia on this one. We got a lot of American women going up on the space shuttles in the 80s and 90s, making their own mark. Third woman to walk in space, and the first woman to make multiple EVAs. That would have been Catherine Thornton. She was on the shuttle flight of 33, 49, 61, and 73 between 1989 through 1995. How about a fourth woman to walk in space, Linda Godwin? 1996, she was on the flight for, what was that, 108. Winding down they were. First British citizen in space. Second woman to fly on a space station, Mir, when she was still up there, and they're still waiting for the International Space Station to be built by the Space Shuttle Transport. Helen Sharman was United Kingdom. She was on the Soyuz flight back in 1991. There's another woman who walked in space in 1999 on the Space Shuttle. That was Shuttle Flight 96. First female payload specialist in 1991, that would have been Millie Hughes Fulford. Unfortunately, she had passed away in 2021. God rest her soul, God bless her soul. First Canadian woman. First Ukrainian and Canadian woman in space. She flew on Flight 42 back in 1992, and she was the first neurologist in space. This one was Roberta Bondar. First African American. Try this one. Back in 92, Shuttle Flight 47, Mae Jemison. That one would have been celebrated right there. Sixth woman to walk in space. Back in the last, there was a flight, let's see, 102 and 105. Why did they do that way? I don't know. Susan J. Helms, longest duration EVA by a woman. How about first Hispanic woman in space? 1993, Flight 56, Ellen Ochoa. There's another one. Only she passed away in 2012. She did her first flight, 1993, on Shuttle Flight 57, Janice E. Voss, United States. And another one, 1993, in Flight 57, Nancy Curry. I mean, there's a ton of them here. One of them have different nationality and backgrounds during the shuttle flight. During the shuttle 30-year flight going up and back. Now, to me, that was, that was the government thing, but they were still making epochs. They're making their marks. Try the first shuttle commander. These are solo women among a group of men. Ah, I know, but Blue Origin was a bunch of women. Which I still need to tear their history apart for a little bit. And I'm still waiting for my computer to stop being a pain in the ass. Because there's been so much information, I still want to get PDF and saved. Gal King could consider her and her first in her life of going into space. Okay, fine, celebrate her. And among other women who were paid enough money to Bezos to get upstairs, including his wife. Or is that a freebie right there? Ellen Collins, first commander that she flew. And she had 4 flights in the shuttle flight. 63, 84, 93, and 114. I think the last one, she was shuttle commander for 14 in 2005. And it was 4th and last flight for her. Before the shuttle program canceled out. She's fussing a great deal. There are other women mentioned. First French woman in space. Only she went on the Soyuz flights. Claude Hagnier, I think. Butchered that one, unfortunately. She was on a Soyuz flight back in 96 and in 2001. Second female shuttle pilot, Susan Still Kilrain. She flew in the Flight 83, which was back in 1997, and Flight 94, 1997. This one ought to kill. This one gets to me. This one gets to me here. It's not the origin of this woman. She was the second woman who died in space on Flight 107 when she broke apart in atmosphere. Challenger was an explosion because of the E-ring. Flash frozen and then heated quickly, which produced cracks. Allowed superheated gas from a booster to cause the Challenger to explode. Chandra, now let's see, Columbia disaster back in 2003 January. The ship flew up into space, burned off several tiles. NASA was going nuts over the space tile. They couldn't get a shuttle up there fast enough. They decided to take a gamble, and they lost. Superheated gases when the shuttle was coming into the Earth's atmosphere entered underneath through the broken tiles, or actually through the missing tiles, actually, into the superstructure of the vehicle, started tearing it apart left and right upon entry. What we were seeing in the atmosphere, raining down on people, was the breakup of the entire shuttle system. Kalpana Chawla. She was the first Asian American Indian origin, naturalized U.S. citizen in space, first Hindu in space. She did her first astronaut gig on 1997 on Flight 87. Passed away with several others on Flight 107 back in 2003. There's a lot more to mention about it. These women were pioneers. These women ought to be celebrated every time they went up. Not on a Bezos bouncer. Except we're going to have to mention it. I mean, they're already mentioning it in the later flights well after the space shuttle because then a commercial had to take over. So now we got to mention that. Man, asses. We got to mention them being part of the China's already done it for their own Chinese women going up on their own space shots. We have a SpaceX crew, number 1, 2020 of November. Shannon Walker. She was among 3. Went up to the International Space Station in Dragon's capsule and came back down. First native Houston to go on board the International Space Station on a civilian flight. No, I'll take that back. No, she went up on the Soyuz trip, and her second flight was in SpaceX, Dragon capsule. Yes, they are keeping track of who was flying on which ships. So when I start hearing about this all-women crew, hell, I heard about a little bit about it, but then I had to wait for the shock and awe of the thing to settle down a bit. I'm trying to say whether or not we actually have. Oh God, why did I miss her? I was searching and searching and I didn't see her. Krista McAuliffe. She was part of the Teacher in Space project on the Challenger mission when she blew. I thought her. Why did I miss her? January 28th, 1986. She never had a chance to go into space. I mean, into the black void. Except to be blown to pieces. There had been other women who've been in different groups who wanted to go up and still marked for going up. And probably when we have other ships going. But as for Blue Origin, give me a second on that one. I need to research it. Alrighty, going through lifeandstylemagazine.com. The article that they published was about the women before they popped off. Or just about. April 14th, 2025 edition. So yes, naturally they talk about Miss Katy Perry. And they talked about the Jeff Bezos fiancée. Katy Perry, we know about her. Everybody knows about Katy Perry. The L King, okay, CBS News personality. Lauren Sanchez, fiancée to Amazon and Blue Origin's founder Jeff Bezos. Carrie Ann Flynn, fourth member of the crew, film producer. Unfortunately, Virgin Galactic spaceflight was going to be her first, but Apparently Branson can't even get his project off the damn ground. Aisha Bow. Or I'm sorry, Bowie. This one I probably would give. I'll throw a dog at the screen eventually. I'm sidetracked by my own dog. Aisha Bow, former NASA rocket scientist. Yeah, about that. She would have been in a shuttle program. She would have been in a shuttle program, wouldn't she? Okay, okay, okay. This one. I need on this one. Bowie, huh? Let me see something. Alright, what do we got? Come on, chew it up. There we go. Aerospace engineer, were you or were you not? I know about the private stuff, but what I want to know is did she actually go on a NASA flight when we actually had the shuttle program going? STEM engineer, advocate, founder of the STEM board. NASA recipient of NASA Equal Opportunity Medal. Part of Blue Origin, but she never been in NASA. Okay. Okay. She was at NASA. The U.S. under mathematics engineering. She was part of the MESA program, mathematics engineering, science achievement program. She mentored students, held interviews, workshops, and led site tours, but she was still grounded. And she went over to Blue Origin in 2025 of this year. First black woman confirmed to travel with Blue Origin. She became the sixth black woman to cross the Kaiman line, the internationally recognized boundary of space. In that situation, I give her thumbs up on that one. Even though it was a short flight, it's like Mercury flight. But even a Mercury flight's considered the people, once they cross the boundary, astronauts. Okay, and but why is it important for me to acknowledge her instead of Gail King going in airspace as a civilian? Because we already had civilians, we already had military science already up there. But for Gail King, that's the first. Katy Perry, I don't know, whoever paid Bezos enough money for it. But I'm not gonna. I got a grudging respect for Gail King. I got respect for Miss Bowie. Regarding Amanda Wynn, let me see what's going on with her. Social engineer, entrepreneur, civil rights activist, bioastronautics researcher, founder and chief executive officer of RISE, non-government civil rights organization. And she's doing this for the media. Just a media hop. She becomes the first woman of Vietnamese heritage to fly into space. Once they crossed that boundary, she became an astronaut. Civilian. That I give her credits for as well. Okay, Vietnamese heritage. Okay. Still. Carrie Ann Flynn, space tourist. Not much on her. Film producer, socialite, and space tourist. She wanted to do Virgin Galactic, and unfortunately Branson pulled out on that one. So she still held out for this one, and Bezos offered her the space flight, so she got on the pop flying. Laura Sanchez. Let me see what's going on with her. Journalist, and she's the fiance to Bezos. Now, why am I not going? Hooray! These women did it. Okay, fine, big work. I mentioned through other programs of other women stepping up there in their own individual, and this is just a group on a social turn of space. So to me, it is social tour. I may write, or actually, I may do another video about this one here. I got to deal with She Must Be Obeyed this morning, and she is needy this morning. We'll talk.